Welcome, everyone, to Chirping Zebras, the year in review episode, part one. Mark Riley alongside Geno Bender Jr., as always, and our producer extraordinaire, Josh Dolan. Boys, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's, right?
Can't
Been a
believe
weird one.
2025 is on top of us.
Yes, it's a big number. 25
It
is a
is.
good number.
I feel like this year we've lived like 5 different lives.
We had earthquakes in New England, and we had all kinds of crazy shit happen. So
Tornadoes.
yeah, but and obviously we started our podcast January
did.
22nd. We dropped our first episode, and we have 42 out there right now, and we're gonna do a little recap.
Yeah, go check
You-
them out.
You know what's funny is we went through them all. You know, picked out our favorite parts, and we ended up with too much.
Yeah.
So we're breaking it into two parts. This is part one, the first 21, and then part two will be separate with the second 21, and of course that's 21 and 21 is 42.
And for
Last
you
time I
listeners out
checked.
there, and for you, all our listeners out there that pay attention, we tend to go a little in the long tooth in some of the episodes. So it's just part of the course that we do have to split the year and review up into 2 episodes. So
Oh,
I think it's
absolutely.
just part of the
And
course.
Frankie Chirps in the house with his specially made Bees jersey
Love it.
with chirps on the back. So hopefully he won't chirp during our episode here like he usually does. So we want to thank our sponsor, the Referees Crease. They've been with us since the beginning, and they've been a huge supporter of the show. Geno, your dad and your company, can't thank you guys enough.
Yeah, I mean,
And
this is something that we're invested in, and this. I think what we're doing, hopefully, just brings a light to sports and in general. Just not just officiating, just everybody needs to lighten up in the rinks because it's supposed to be fun, and it's not
Yeah.
not serious. It's a freaking sport out there, especially at the youth level, and we love our Boston sports, and we're very passionate, and some of those will come out in future episodes.
certainly will. And we're looking forward to next year. We got a bunch of great guests planned. But taking a look back, the first episode was just the three of us. And then, we went from there. Paul Stewart. We had a couple of NHL guys on. Paul Stewart and Vaughn Rohde joined us. And both of them were great. We had Ryan Whitney from Spitting Chicklets, which was, I don't know if I could pick a favorite episode because they were all great in their own way.
Yeah, I mean, we also had like NHL guys on there when we did our live show, like John Carter's, and and then you keep scrolling up into, it's on and on. Like the Joe Battaglia episode, like he's a very unique guy in the sport of hockey. He's
Yeah.
done it all. He's really, and like that's a very unique episode where a guy's touched hockey in a lot of different ways, and he's been recognized for it. Rightfully so. And
And like not even like just with the hockey world. Like we've had Jimmy Dunn on, we've had Lenny Clark on, and then like even non-referee or NHL. Well, I guess Jordan Smotherman played, but like we've had head coaches on. I mean, he did get fired 2 days after he was on the show, but
It happens.
he's
It
in
happens.
Austria. But
you haven't
I
had
think
another
he's
coach
all
on
right.
since.
I don't think we have. Joe Battaglia, episode 19, right?
Yes.
And his puck shooting, killing the bird story,
Oh, it's phenomenal.
just epic. And what's funny is that what we did do for those of you at home, anything that we made reels out of is not included in this year-end review. So it's all different material than you'd find on our social medias that you should follow: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. And as always, we want you to like and subscribe. We're getting there. We're up over 600. We need to get to 1,000. That's the goal for the first 6 months. I'd say by June we're up to 1,000 subscribers on the YouTube. So
I think that's a doable goal there, boys.
I would like to think so. And we had some, you know what was cool? Episode 17, Stephanie Wood was on.
Yes.
We had Kelly Cook on, episode 5, I believe. You know, we had some really unique perspectives from women in the sports.
Yes.
So it's really cool. So we're just going to, I mean, we don't want to make this any longer than it already is. So we're going to let the tape roll, and you guys can enjoy. If you like something that you see from an episode, definitely go and check out the whole episode, because these are only snippets of all the things that we did in this past year. And I'm excited for you guys to check this out.
And Riley, I gotta give Pat Shea a shout out too, right?
Yeah.
Before we get out there, because he's episode 15, and not only did we, have him on, he invited us on to his little small movie or series he's
TV
putting
show.
on for YouTube.
Yeah.
So go
Full
check
ride.
that out when that airs. He's crushing it. Check out Pat Shea. And what's it called again?
Full Ride.
Full
was
Ride.
The show that
Go
we
check
were in.
out
We
Full
played
Ride.
the coaches.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's hilarious. Hilarious. And we had both Stewart brothers. I mentioned Paul. We also had his brother Billy.
That was one of my favorite moments. When Bill
mic drop.
He was just like, mic dropped and walked off. He was like, I'm done.
I'll tell you what, you're gonna see that in this little wrap up right here. And of course, episode 21, we had Captain Ryan Crowley and Frank Simonetti on talking about the Warrior for Life Fund, and then we ended up doing a live one that'll be on part 2. So yeah, we had our buddy Luke Galvin on. Dougie Smith, the Goon.
Yep.
We had Dougie on. He was on early, which was cool. And of course, from Team Stripes podcast, Ross Cromaldi came on too.
I just had a drink with him down in Florida.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, he came. He swung by the hotel, had a drink or two by the pool. Yeah, hung out for a
Nice.
couple hours.
The thing I love about doing this review thing and going back and looking at all the episodes we did, and it has nothing to do with the quality of the episode or the guest or whatever. It's just there's been so many good. I can't think of an episode where I was like, that was a snoozer. Every single one.
Yeah.
I feel like after every episode that we record, we're like, that was
Yeah.
what the hell? We did. I thought it was 5 minutes, but it was an hour. But it's going back. There's so you say Pat Shea or all these names. I know that they were on, but I've forgotten because there's just so many good moments and guests that we had to do this.
Josh, it's funny you say that. So I thought Jerry Thornton was on early, and I was like, holy shit, he was episode 27. I thought
he's in part 2.
I thought he was, honestly, 13, 14 around there. That's how many we've done.
And of course, we can't forget Don Garcia, our buddy Donnie Garcia, referee extraordinaire for the Bruins alumni. And of course, our buddy Grav, episode 3, he brought the Italian.
I still think everybody keeps saying that's the favorite episode of everybody's.
Yeah.
So
that was a good.
Great.
we gotta bring him back for some clip nights.
Definitely. But Josh, like you said, every one of them, has been good, and so enjoy the highlights from the first 21 episodes of Chirping Zebras. Let it roll.
Mm-hmm. I suck as a linesman, though. I was not.
Horrible.
I was terrible. I had a referee because linesman was too black and white.
I didn't like calling off sides. I didn't like
Nah.
getting killed on the blue line. I needed to be moving.
Right.
I like skating the building. I really like the one-man system and
Yeah.
old school. I mean, now everything's four-man, but it's good.
yeah.
It's so fast. You need the four now.
What's crazy? So what's cool about our backgrounds are similar but different. We both played college hockey. I played at Curry.
I played at Salve, Regina.
Yep.
Newport, Rhode Island. Great place to go to school, by the way.
Nice plug. Yeah. Right, Curry's good too, but I won't say anything. No, I had a blast there. It was a good time, and I hadn't refereed until I was about 23. I hurt my back my senior year and got into refereeing. My brother Steven was reffing for years.
Still reffing for us.
Still reffing, and although I think he was talking about retiring the last couple of years, but I don't think he will. No. But he got me into it, and off. My first year actually reffing was out in the USHL with Chris Rooney.
Right on.
Who's number 5 in the NHL. And
Couple
for our
Stanley
money, the
Cup
best
runs.
referee
Yeah.
in the NHL, not just because he's from Southie, but he's awesome. But you were reffing like at what, age 9?
No, I was 11. I was 11, right? Now there's laws to it. You got to be 14, but I was 11 years old, and now that you just said that, remember the Mayor's Cup? They used to have the Mayor's Cup, right? It was Charlestown, Southie, Dot, and they had it right around Christmas time, and I was reffing with my father doing my first handful of games, right? Southie, Charlestown. I forget the scenario, but whatever call I decided to go with went against Southie, right? So I'm picking the puck up, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's booing me, yelling and screaming, and I'm like 11 years old, no idea what's going on. My father hands me the puck and goes, "Hey, congratulations, kid." And I'm like, "On what?" He goes, "Your first boo."
That's hilarious.
I'm like, "All right, I'm in it."
That's hilarious.
I got a question for you guys.
Oh, Josh,
Hey,
our
How's it
producer,
going?
third man.
Where'd this guy come from? So, Riley, you kind of just answered it a little bit, how you got into it, but what made you guys want to ref? Because, like you said, someone's always mad at you. It seems like such a...
Thankless job.
Yeah, thankless job or stressful job. And, like, when I was playing, I was like, there's no way I would want to be doing that. And, number one, too much ADD. I'd probably forget to pay attention. But... what did you think of that when you were playing? Like, I might like to ref,
Never.
or was it?
I
feel
hated
like a lot
refs.
of. I feel
hated
like a
refs.
lot of refs were tough guys too.
Yeah, no, I hated refs, and I think the only person dirtier as a player that became a ref was you.
Yeah.
But I never thought about it until I hurt my back and couldn't play anymore, and realized I want to stay involved. It's a sport. I mean, hockey it's in your blood, right? And so I didn't want to get away from the sport. And it gave me an opportunity to stay involved, stay in the ice, and make a career out of it. I mean, I worked full time for 6 years, I think, and got hired by the NHL, and then fired a week later. But it happened. But yeah, that was my thing. You started
For me,
because of dad.
I had since I was born. I mean, it was in my blood, right? Like my father was always reffing. He saw this, reffing as an opportunity to make it a company, a small little side gig, a signing, and helping develop the referees in the area local. It was small, you can control it, and it was something like he worked pro hockey, so like he worked the East Coast League when it was their inaugural season. So like he was traveling, I was even like a baby, right? And it was just something I was always I was born into, right? So it was always in my blood. I wanted to be a referee since the day I basically could walk, right? Like I was imitating NHL referees and all that. And my daughter's 8 years old, and she told her coach the other day that she's going to quit playing at 14 and become a ref. Because that's when you can start reffing.
That's awesome.
The coach was like, "Good luck with that."
That's awesome. Well, I mean, and the East Coast, what's funny is your dad had the penalty minute record in the East Coast League for a while until I broke it.
No kidding.
I think it was in 96, 97, Hampton Roads, Richmond, 304 minutes.
No kidding.
And it was absolute chaos. Speaking of your dad, our second sponsor tonight is Referees Crease. And that's your dad's company.
Yes.
Premier assigning and training
In
for
development.
referees and development in all of New England. And
Yeah,
he
we're
assigns
across the
from
country. Yep.
pro to mites across the country. So
We wear a lot of hats. Right?
Yeah.
Like he wears a lot of hats. We have the Southern Pro League. I'm in charge of Division I, Atlantic Hockey, College Hockey America. He's got all the D3 schools, college club, you name it. And then all the youth programs. We handle massive tournaments on the weekends. It's absolutely insane the amount of hockey that comes through. And you know what? We're surviving. We're getting through it. Everyone's talking about the ref shortage and how bad it is and this and that. Like he's going on, TV this week, getting interviewed about it. And it's a crisis not only in this sport, it's every sport,
Every
right?
sport.
Like every single sport. And we work up to the last minute to get games filled. Like I'm calling people every Saturday, Sunday just to get a mic game filled, and we care about the mics and we care about the higher levels and we care about the product. And like all the leagues, they were all supporting me growing up and helping us out and just giving back. So
well, Referees Crease. If you need a referee, give him a call.
Yep.
And maybe you get me on the game. You never know. You never know.
So I go and put my arm up for an instigator or whatever, right? Blow the whistle. Next thing you know,
this happens.
yeah, this happens.
It's just absolute chaos.
Absolute mayhem.
If you listen and the video just shows multiple fights.
Yep.
There's guys on top of each other. The linesmen are trying to pull people apart. And
Roger just got punched in the head. Yep. Like everybody's paired up. We got a legit 5-on-5 brawl. Like everybody's just going. And I'm just taking numbers. This was an easy one. I remember taking these numbers and going, oh, I got 9 and 9. I'll never forget it. I was like, nine. That was easy. I remember those ones because they were paired up.
Right.
Like, yeah, like going through like I mean, you only go through a handful of these in your career, right? Like you go through a couple in juniors, you go through a couple in in the minors. It doesn't happen every night, but when you do it, you got to be ready.
I mean, there's just it's a full yard sale.
Yep.
Gloves, sticks, helmets. The fans are loving this because the fans, especially down south, love the rock'em sock'em hockey.
So like rule books are complex, right? So like you got to like dive in and you got to know call it what you know, right? Like I could have not
guys just leaving.
Like I just kicked everybody out. I had the initial, I had the instigator, I had all that kind of stuff, right? And then I just gave everybody secondary altercations and got rid of them all, right?
Now is that John Marks?
That's John Marks. Yes, he's a legend. Yep.
Oh, Hockey Hall of Fame.
Oh, he's the best.
He was the coach in Charlotte when I was down the coast. He coached the Charlotte Checkers.
Yep.
And he was one of the best to deal with. Just a class act.
Yep.
I'll never forget I missed a high stick coming out of the zone. Now this is the 2 seconds later, right?
This is the next shift.
The next shift.
This is the next shift. Whistle down the other end.
And there we go again.
There we go again.
2 line brawls.
Yep.
2 shifts in a row.
No, I didn't get involved in the other one. I just took numbers. But you see this here? The kid slamming his face on the ground.
Yeah,
yeah. And that's when I jumped in for player safety, and I kind of manhandled him a little bit.
As you should have.
Yeah.
Right?
Like I wasn't too happy with him.
What's great about that story is a lot of people don't know about that Cashman interaction in the warm-ups.
Well, I think he was sending a message to me, which is we'll take care of you, no problem. But he didn't realize, and as I said when I worked in Russia to the president of Russia, Putin, when he said, you don't seem afraid and you don't blink. Are you Russian? I said, no, I'm from Dorchester. Look it up.
That's awesome.
There are only 2 ways to go home from St. Greg's, Morton Street, and I had to fight the kids from that project to make sure I got my sneakers home. And if I went River Street, I had to fight the kids from that project. And between the 2 of them, they'd steal your lunch money or your sneakers. So you had to be kind of tough to hang in there. Plus, I worked hard to get there, and there was no one that was going to take that away from me.
And wasn't that your first NHL game?
It was my first regular season NHL game. I, of course, had played in quite a few exhibition games when I was with the Rangers. I played against the Islanders. In fact, Clark Gillies one night, well after he retired, was in a bar down in Fort Lauderdale, not too far from Kelly's Landing. And he walked around the bar with a beer in his hand, and he handed it to me, and he said, I want to ask you a question. He said, you fought everybody on my team. You fought them all. I said, yeah. He said, but we never fought. Why is that? And I said, I admired you as a player. I thought you were tough and honest, and you stayed inside the code. I said, and the other thing is, I'm kind of smart, and I had seen you fight, and I didn't want to get killed. And he said to me, yeah, and I've seen you for a long time. He said, I would have had to kill you 9 times because you kept getting up.
That's
the Dorchester in you.
Right.
Yeah, but when you see guys like Clark Gillies or Gretzky or fellas like that, when I went into the Hall of Fame, that your dad came to the dinner,
Yep.
Geno, and Jack Carlson called me and congratulated me. And the next guy that called me was Wayne Gretzky.
No kidding.
And I get a tremendous degree of pride because I think I helped open the door for guys like Chris Rooney.
Those 4 guys get together and huddle. Communication between the group, the team. It's not about one guy. It's about all 4
And
guys.
it's also about asking the right questions too. Like if you're the referee, like you got to ask the right questions to get the answer you want. Like most referees, and especially the Division I level, they have a lot of experience. Some might have some pro experience, and they've been in situations in the one-man system where they had to ask a goal judge, something
I've been there, done
right?
that.
And like my favorite thing with goal judges is ask them, "Hey, whatever you do, don't shake your head, yes or no." Okay, and then it's
shake
like,
their head.
Hey, I fucking chucked one from a game.
oh, no kidding.
Yeah, you threw out a goal judge. That's right. You threw out a goal judge.
Man, Providence. Fucking guy, I was on the goal line watching the play. Puck never crossed the line. Goalie tied it up, and I look, and the goal just put the light on. I look at him, I go, what the fuck? And he's going like this. And I go, I go. And he was fucking adamant. So I went over to the glass. Right? Dusted it off. And I said, hey, asshole.
That's right.
That was no fun. And then he got fucking belligerent, and I had him thrown from the
You
building.
emailed him.
They had a
that's
replacement guy
excellent.
go in to finish the game. But yeah,
Find another
that happened.
eliminator.
Listen, for those people who don't understand, a goal judge never gets thrown out. It's like
Oh, I
throwing a
checked
hold
his
on the
ass.
one-armed kid. You
Yeah,
don't
right.
do that,
Right.
right? I remember that. Remember
Revere.
I did
That
that
kid
in-
from Revere,
I did
yeah.
that in Hockey East.
Yeah.
I mean, in Hockey Night
Night
in
Boston,
Boston.
yeah.
Boston.
But you like that. That's like just absolutely
good.
hilarious.
Yeah,
throwing out a
and
goal
the
judge.
goal judges were your best buddies.
Right, yeah.
Don't,
Well,
hey,
it could
like
be.
I said, I started as one.
Yeah.
You were like, I remember, man. You fucking your fingers on that button, and you're sweating, and you're like,
So me and my roommate Chauncey, we went down there and spent the week down in Pensacola with them. Oh, it was awesome. Actually, Scotty Malone was down there.
yeah.
Yeah.
We talked to him about that tonight.
And now
Ran into him.
I ran into him last night. It was his birthday, and we're in La Scala. He come in. I look over, and there he is. And he goes, "Hey, there's the guy I gave 14 stitches to." Hockey night in Boston.
Any story that starts like that is a good story, and
It's a
usually
great
has,
story.
It usually has roots in Southie. Let's be honest.
but it's a great story, right?
Yeah.
So I always wore a helmet, and the shields were just coming out. So it was hockey night in Boston, and it was a pretty big game. Like a lot of the Catholic kids were all playing, and McEachran and all those guys were playing, and he was at Don Bosco, and there were a couple of kids from CM. So I take the helmet off. It's me, Ned Bunyan, and Frank Keogh, right? It was 3-man. It was the playoffs that were coming in. So I'm working the lines with Keogh. Bunyan's in the middle. I'll never forget this as long as I live. Scotty, and I think it was McEachran started to get into it, right? And Scotty had his stick up, and he didn't mean to catch me. I was just standing too close, and he gives me a zipper right here. And I'm sitting down on the ice. I know I got hurt, and Ned Bunyan comes up, calm as can be. Mr. Binder, stay right where you are. You were seriously injured. And I look up, and Frank Keogh is absolutely chalk white, right? So they got this big turbo coming on. Right? They got me all stitched up. And the whole thing about the story is Eric Doyle, who ends up being a great referee, Jimmy Doyle's son.
Jimmy Doyle's son.
He's 14 years old, and I have nowhere to get my car out of there. He's 14, takes the car keys, and follows me in an ambulance at 14 years old to the Stoneham Hospital.
That's awesome.
You can't
He was
make
a
that.
mature 14.
Yeah, he was mature. Hey, he was the only guy I know.
He was.
Hey, think about it. We were down in Washington, D.C. He's sitting at the other end of the bar. He was let's put it this way, he wasn't eligible, but he's sitting down there, and he just looks up at the bartender. 2 more, please. The guy comes over. It was Washington and the Bruins.
Yeah, we were
Yeah,
down
it
to
was a
watch
great
the
trip.
playoff game. That was awesome.
Yeah, he's sitting down the thing reading the newspaper. I'll have 2 more, please. Didn't bother him at all.
That's awesome.
All good.
Brandon Blanchard had a college game.
He calls me up. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No,
this
no,
is your story. This is not mine because I
So,
wasn't there.
He calls me. He calls me up. Right. He's got a Division I game. Right. He's going somewhere.
D1 college.
D1 college hockey
D1
game.
college game. He calls me up. He goes, "Hey, I'm not going to make the game today." I go, "Fuck, blah blah blah." We're going back and forth. He goes, "No, I can't make it." I goes, "Okay, tell me why you can't make it."
Like, what's
He
the excuse this time,
yeah,
Brendan?
Right? Yeah. What do you got going? He goes, "A plane crashed into my house this morning." Son of a bitch.
Did it really crash?
Good. On the news.
He goes, turn the
Brendan
news on.
Blanchard's outside looking for.
The
I would have
plane's
went in.
in his house.
In his house.
Like landing on the roof, apartment
He
complex,
goes,
right?
"Could you go get your stuff?" It's going to burn to the ground anyway. What do you just do the game?
His stuff's in his house, yeah.
Yeah.
Completely ruined.
The plane took off at Tewksbury, flew right into his house.
Well, he lives right by like an airport. I was there one time, and I'm like, man, these are kind of low. And the next thing you know, it's in his house.
were really low that
Yeah,
day.
oh yeah.
It was a little too low that day. Well,
Can't make it up.
You
All
can't
good
charge
stuff.
him for that one.
Nope.
No.
All good stuff.
You just pissed he missed the game.
Hey,
for you.
you know, at the end of the day, right? It's really about the memories, the friendships.
So I've ref both men and women. Matter of fact, I think I'm doing a college game for you this weekend, or for your dad.
Yeah.
And so, what do you like? It's different,
Yeah.
right? It's different. It's a different mindset. What's your thoughts on how different it is?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, there's more similarities than there are differences,
Yep.
I think.
I would
Obviously,
agree.
the big one is the hitting and the physicality, but, you know, as women's hockey has evolved, it's becoming so much more physical now than it ever was. So, you know, especially in the new league where they want to allow some form of hitting. So I think, you know, I would think that women hold grudges more than men.
Really?
Yeah.
I think the guys, like, they can, you know, swear at you or say whatever it is, and then they'll let it go. But the women, you know, speaking from experience, they don't let it go. So I think that's one of the things that,
Interesting, isn't it?
yeah.
I've been divorced, so I understand. That's all I'm going to
I
say.
think, yeah, it translates to hockey as well. So I think that that's one of the differences you notice is they don't forget, and they definitely don't forgive. So they know, like, who the refs are, and if, you know, they disagree with something, then they'll remember it. But otherwise, you know, the women are so skilled these days
I was gonna say
that,
the skill's unbelievable.
yeah, it's some of the hockey I watch, I'm like, holy moly, like, this is crazy. I would never be able to play at, like, this level anymore. And they're just so good and so strong, and it has evolved so much that it's definitely more similar, I think, now than it's ever been.
I think
always
the
said-
skill's probably better than some of the men. You know, stick handling, the skating, the edge work, like
Yeah, the
like,
skating.
It's unbelievable. The skating. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's one of your best traits is skating. Like
Yeah.
watching you the other night at the Garden was just, you know, it was awesome. Just
Yeah.
watch you work the building, skating, get sight lines, and you know, fighting for sight lines.
Yeah.
People don't fight for sight lines, right? They think just they stay flat footed, and you got to move your feet. You got to,
Yeah.
you can't stall. You got to get there. Skating's so important.
Yeah,
I was
definitely
going to
is.
bring up something else. Well,
Sorry.
hold that thought. No.
okay.
Do you think hitting should be in women's hockey?
I was going there. Yeah, great question.
I'm split on that one.
Okay.
I think they're doing good tests now with the PWHL and kind of seeing how that goes. And obviously, like, the women are so strong and so big at this point that they can definitely handle it. It just depends on if they want it.
My house, we had the Boston Ottawa game on last night, and Tuesday we go to the women's bean pot.
Yeah.
You know, it's fresh and boom. The Bruins game was on, and the women's game was on. The women's game was on in my house. 'Cause I live with three women, so
It's
yeah.
all over. It's all over.
You know, you guys ever do like any like comedy events or anything crazy?
Well, we played the Bruins alumni a couple times. We had the Boston Comedy All Stars.
It's actually how we met.
Yeah.
Was
Oh, yeah, that's
not
right.
Hang
through
on, with the
comedy. it was
Comedy
through hockey.
All-Stars?
It was
like
through the
that.
Comedy All Stars. We were playing for Jake Gallerani.
Yes,
Right?
good
He
memory.
was the little boy with cancer that we were playing for. Lennon Byers was very involved.
LB?
And we put together, LB, and we put together a Boston Comedy All-Star team.
Was
And
Geno
let's just
in
say there was only a few All-Stars on that team. Not many of us played in college, but that's okay. And
Tony
but
V
we
was
had-
our goalie.
Tony V
Tony
was our
V?
goalie. He was our goalie for, awesome.
Yes.
And he played goalie when he played hockey.
Really?
Back in the day, yeah. We had Dave Russo. We had a bunch of.
I could
comedians.
see
Was
the
did
Alex
Tony V open that
Edelman.
night?
Alex
we saw
Edelman.
you.
What's that?
Was Tony V the one that opened that night we saw you? When he had those two tables.
I don't know.
Who was that? Who opened?
I don't. Oh, the kid that I almost
No, the
fought in
heavy set
parking
guy.
lot?
No, the Italian guy.
Oh
He
yeah,
was the
Tony V.
surprise- yeah, it was
Oh,
Tony
yeah,
V.
Yeah, that was Tony V.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the best. But anyway, we put together this team. All right. And
I
the
digress.
first time I usually digress. The first time we played, we were up in Exeter, right?
Yes,
Was that the
up
first
in the-
time?
yep.
And Lenny Clark was our coach.
He was our coach.
He was the coach.
Yeah,
up
I
there.
asked him. I was surprised. He was like,
Yeah.
"I'll be there."
And then the second one, we played in Stoneham. And,
What an arena.
And we had the pizza delivered to the bench.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
During the game.
Pete Costello delivered it.
Pete Costello delivered the pizza. And we raised money. It was fun.
Oh, awesome.
You know, we actually had a scrap.
Come on.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did. He won't stop. A lot of people bring that video up to me, and they all say the same thing, that you won. I don't think that you
We
won.
can take a look at it.
I
Gino,
bet-
watch this
oh, yeah.
video
We
right
have-
here.
we have
This is
technology.
Come on.
This is Josh and I throwing down.
Oh,
I
there
got
it
the
is.
pink socks on. And
Oh, you want to dress him?
yep.
I go no shirt under the pants.
And if I was actually throwing punches, this would have been lasted maybe 2 punches.
Now the ref has a white helmet on.
Actually, that's Josh's dad,
Ref
Jim,
come right in. He's in this room.
with a borrowed ref jersey. That's my ref jersey.
Are you certified, sir? Where's your patch?
What's funny is, where's your pad? What's funny is, I didn't know you weren't wearing a shirt underneath, or I wouldn't expose those pipe cleaners of yours.
Oh my god!
But
I filled
I kicked your ass. Let's be honest. But no, that game was a lot. Jermaine Wiggins was on that team.
I
He
forgot
was
on our
my
team.
left wing in that game. Greg Murphy played.
Greg
the
Murphy
greatest
played.
pond hockey player ever. He
E.J.
never played
Murphy.
with boards and never passed the puck.
He did pretty good.
He was a good player, but he never passed the puck. I still bust his balls about that. I would have had like 10 goals if he passed the puck.
You would have missed the net, but
A lot of wingers saying that.
Maybe, but that was a lot of fun. So yeah, you know what, we should get a ref team together.
we should.
God,
That'd be
great.
fun,
Yeah.
right?
I know the guys down. I think it's Philadelphia. They always they do a good thing. Tommy George, he gets a bunch of guys together. He's always promoting something. Was it
Well, we
like
could play
dirty
the
old
alumni.
fat guys or something? It's funny.
We could play the Bruins alumni.
Or you should do a Boston refs and play a different city of refs. Oh, right.
Now we're talking.
There's a lot of Boston, right? Is it just because, like, I don't know if it's because I'm from here, so I, like, pay attention when they're like, oh, that ref or linesman's from Boston, but is there a lot of more Massachusetts guys than other places? I feel like it's Canada and Boston.
I would say Boston, Minnesota is the hockey capital of the United States.
Yeah.
Whoa,
like
whoa!
I am throwing that out there right now. Being from Boston, I've spent many a winters in Minnesota.
The Celtic kid is saying Minnesota is the hockey capital.
And now you tell me this: does the Boston Garden get filled up for the Super 8? Sold out.
Sold out? No.
Does the even lower bowl get sold out?
Yeah.
So
I know
they
it's
sell
technical.
out. They sell out that for the quarterfinals. They sell out. Never mind for the whole tournament. That building in Minnesota is packed.
Filled.
Like
Yeah.
the whole place shuts down.
They have nothing else.
Well, it's like football down south.
Oh, they got ice
Football
fishing.
down south.
They got ice fishing.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
no
I
other
was just going to
sports.
say, what are you going to do in Minnesota?
Nothing. It's
Exactly.
hockey, and
That's
it's
why
freezing
they
cold.
pack it.
Yes.
Dougie, welcome, my man. How we doing? I didn't mean to tell that story right before you came on,
Well,
but
yeah, I mean, the gay porn reference to the movie was the movie, and not anything to do with my life.
well, your movie. I want to bring up your movie right away, The Goon. I actually watched it today because I hadn't
Why?
watched it.
Why would you do that to yourself?
Well, you know what's funny is I'm so glad I didn't watch it before I met you. Because we met a couple of years ago at the Bowl for a Bruin thing. You were bowling next to me.
Correct.
If I had seen that movie before I met you, I would have been like, how is this guy even like doing anything? Because you were like Forrest Gump on skates in that movie.
Yeah, I know.
And
That's a great way to
What were they thinking?
I don't know. I mean, listen, I know I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but, you know, I was saying to some people, you know, before, when I first saw the premiere of that movie in Toronto, my wife and I were invited up by the cast and the directors and the producers, and we got to meet everyone, all the actors. They were great. And after watching the movie for the first time, my wife turns to me and she goes, "You're ruined for life." And I'm like, I know, look at the character. I mean, he was a nice guy, but I mean, dumb as a bag of rocks. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I mean, you know, you make the best
It's
of it.
Hollywood.
It's Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, again, I've said it to other people, you know, it wasn't the Doug Smith story, even though my book was an autobiography and they based the movie off it. I mean, they could have made the character, I don't know, a little more normal.
Right? I thought he was going to pull a dead mouse out of his pocket like Lenny from Of Mice and Men. You know what I mean? That's the kind of character he was. I was like, what did they do this for?
Right.
And I remember you saying some of the fight scenes you wanted to be authentic because, you know, hockey fight scenes in movies aren't always like they really are.
Right.
And I think some of them were, but some of them were. Like when you did that whole ninja thing and took out the whole team when you first went on the ice, I was like, you kicked a guy in the chest with your skate. I was
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
That's Hollywood right there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the stick throwing and the kicking, I mean, that again, that's their script, you know,
Right.
and they were trying to make a funny movie, and I get that. They were trying to do things that, you know, you don't see on a normal basis, say in a hockey game or a hockey fight or whatever. And again, they're probably playing to his character, meaning like he's kind of a dimwit. You know, and he's just doing anything he can to survive. But you're right. I mean, you know, It's slapstick in a sense.
Yeah, I believe they call it poetic license, right? Is that what they? Now the last fight scene. Obviously, you got to fight. The villain.
Yeah,
All
Ross
right?
the boss.
Ross the boss. And I liken it to Youngblood fighting Racky.
Sure.
Remember when he
Yeah.
had?
I
he
met
had a
Racky
fight.
before.
Yeah,
Did you
I
really?
have to.
Racky's
real good
great.
guy.
He's
a real
awesome.
good guy.
So I was up in where was I? I was in Bingo,
Yeah.
and Hop Daddy brings him to the game. So I got a picture with me and him afterwards in Binghamton.
Yeah.
The next morning, I'm staying in Utica because I'm there the next day or whatever. I meet Hop Daddy for breakfast. In comes walking Racky with a signed copy of Youngblood. I was like, "This is awesome!"
Yeah.
Oh, that's
like
wild.
like the stuff the people you meet on the road, and like
course.
he was telling about his movie
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Rob Lowe and how
Yeah.
he was absolutely mental.
Right. Yeah.
It was so cool to
And
meet
I
him,
can
man.
relate to that. I mean,
Awesome
again,
guy.
he's a regular. He did play real hockey.
Yeah, he was a
And
hockey player.
He
Yeah.
was, and he played physical, and he's a big guy. I've met
Yeah.
him before. His name's George. I forget his
Yes,
name.
George. I'm
George
Hagel,
Finn, right?
no,
George Finn.
George
Yeah,
Finn.
I'm friends with him on Facebook.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
hell of a guy. And again, like you said, you get to meet these people, and you're like, you know what? He's actually a really great guy.
Awesome guy.
Yeah.
Had some good stories. So I just
Yeah.
sat at breakfast for like 2 hours. It was awesome. Just kept pouring coffee.
Well, there's two things in the Youngblood movie that were a little far-fetched. One, Rob Lowe beating Racky.
Sure.
And
Yes.
two, him getting Cynthia Gibb. One of my favorite movies, scenes ever. But anyway, I digress. So that final scene, though, the ankle thing,
Yeah.
that whole thing, I mean, that was a little
That
over the
wouldn't
top.
happen to me because I used to put up on I don't know, 2 rolls of tape around my ankles so I wouldn't fall down.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I
yeah.
would never snap my ankles. But again, that's Hollywood script.
Right.
Who would ever think about putting that into the fight scene? I don't
Yeah.
know. But you know what? It is what it is.
Well, like,
he ends
I-
up winning on a broken leg.
Yeah, I mean, that would never happen.
Right.
Right? I mean,
I've seen a Celtic kid fight with a broken. He broke his leg on the ice, and then he like in Merrimack, and he's hopping off his hockey night in Boston.
Right.
He was coming off. The kid was waiting for him.
Oh wow.
Yep. His legs in two, taking a left, and he's fighting still.
wow.
Classic.
Well, that
typical
checks out.
Celtic kid.
That checks out.
Right.
Our producer, Josh Dolan,
Yeah.
found a Q&A that you did back in the day when you were on Fan Addict.
Oh, I was a big star
And-
then.
Oh, yeah, you were huge. and so Josh is going to read the questions. We're going to see, A, how well you know yourself back then,
Okay.
and B, how much you've changed now, because I know what the answers to these questions would
Of course
be now.
you do. Yeah, we're
right?
my best friends. Of course you're going
But
to know
let's
the answer.
see.
All right.
Let's see how we do. So, Josh,
Go ahead, Josh.
let's fire it off.
All right. So these are kind of like the questions they would have in the like the game programs back in the day.
Sure.
When they
When I was doing big time press for Fan Addict.
yeah, when they still had game programs.
Yes.
All right. So the first question is, what's your nickname?
Sausage.
Got that correct.
Conti Colantino of Beverly, Massachusetts gave me that one when I was playing church league basketball for the St. Margaret's Green Machine. I was the big man in the middle, and they were Jimmy Dunn went to Jimmy Dean, went to Sausage.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Fun fact, as Sausage, I was once walking across the gymnasium here in Beverly. Patrick Ewing was here to play a pickup game with a guy from Beverly. I can't remember his name. That was this phenom in Beverly. And Patrick Ewing came down. Somebody got hurt. And I was just happened to be walking through the gym, and Conti Colantino went, "Hey, Sausage, check in." And I checked
And
in.
you went in?
I went in, and I'm not exaggerating. Patrick Ewing somehow gets the ball. I'm the only one back. And I went like this, and he went up and over me, and I saw stars like cartoons. Bang, 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 bang. True story.
I can't wait to
One
bring,
of us is in the Hall of Fame.
I can't wait to bring you up at the next show we do together. I know what I'm going to say.
That's great. Sausage. So the hot dog suit makes sense.
Yes.
Members of your family.
Members of my family?
Yes.
How would I have answered that? Members of my family.
Like who is in his family?
Yeah. Think about
My brother and my sister and my dad.
You wrote just me and the dog.
Yeah, that's that's when I was living good, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Hobbies.
Yes. Hobbies.
Looks like you put 4 down here.
4 hobbies. Ooh. Surfing.
Nope.
Really?
Really?
Pinball.
No.
I
were
would have
doing
picked
well.
those two.
I watched, yeah.
Eating.
Nope. No.
I wonder if I was being a wise ass when I answered this.
You
I'm
must
trying to
have been.
think, like, yeah.
You must have been.
Like I'm wondering if I was like, if I was living with just a dog, I'm wondering if I'm giving like single guy answers, like hobbies,
yeah, you are.
puppies, and walking in the woods, and
Yeah.
counting my money. I don't know.
You wrote bodybuilding,
Exactly. I knew it.
There it
day
is.
trading,
Day trading.
and restoring antique Porsches.
I was going to say restoring cars. I was going to say that.
Yeah, that was obviously to try to impress somebody.
All right, pets.
Pets, just my dog Buck.
Just you and the
Buckner.
dog.
His name was Buckner because when he was a puppy, I rolled a ball at him and went through his legs, and I went, we're a roller up the first base side.
Perfect, man.
That poor dog didn't know.
I love
He had no idea.
Buck was the best. I literally rode my bike by Blinks today. Yeah.
Well, that was all of it.
That
You-
was
you
it.
passed it.
I did pretty well on that.
You actually did
For
real well.
That being a long time ago.
And Blinks is the place we go after the Hampton
Hampton
Beach
Beach.
Comedy
Yeah.
Festival, which I've done every year.
Yep.
Every year but one. That was.
I have a list. I am meeting with someone later tonight.
Oh, really?
And I have the list of the
Of who might be on it?
of the Hampton Beach Comedy Festival list.
Really? Am I on there?
Let me give you a
I better be on there.
Maybe a quick.
Oh, look at that! I'm number 4. I'm number 4 on the
Well, you're
list.
you're
That's
number
not bad.
That's not
You're
bad.
number
That's
4.
ore.
Yeah, you're number 4 only because those 4 are the first 4 that I write every year. So.
Oh, okay.
You know who
See,
they are.
look at
Very
that.
good.
Oh, I do.
I'll tell you a ticket story. This will wrap into the hockey thing, but this is how hardcore we were as hockey fans back in those days. And this is pre-internet, before you could get tickets online. The playoff tickets would go on sale on Ticketmaster.
Yeah.
And so people would line up at the Garden, right?
Yeah.
But we figured out that any Ticketmaster, if you knew the event number, you could get them when they went on sale at that Ticketmaster. So if there's 1,000 people in line down here at the Garden, but if you were at a record store up in New Hampshire,
Right.
there's 6 people there, you're both going in the same queue at 9 o'clock in the morning, right?
Right.
So we figured this out. My brother, my buddy Bull, and I, we go up there and we think we're going to camp out. We'll be the only ones in this parking lot at this mall up in Newington, New Hampshire. So we get there and there's already like a couple of guys already there. Hey, all right, you camping out? Yeah, all right. So you guys are 1, 2, 3, 4. We're 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, cool. A couple guys come in over the course of the night. And by the end of the night, by the first thing in the morning, there's 30 or 40 people there. Wow. So 9 o'clock in the morning, they open the mall. And they open the mall gate. Now, we've all established the line. But you got to go from the mall gate down to the record store and queue up there, right? And it's still going to be like another hour before the tickets go on sale there. So they open the gates and a couple guys in the back start running ahead. Oh, no.
Big mistake.
No. So we get down to the record store and we've been partying with these guys all night. 1, 2, 3, 4, that's those guys. We're 5, 6, 7, right? And these guys, all right, cue it up. And these other guys go, hey, no, we got here first. You guys got here an hour ago, right? You get in the back of the line. So they get in the back of the line and then get ready to start the thing. And they go, all right, we're open for business. They go to jump the line. And my brother grabs one of these guys and runs him through a rack of CDs. Right? Just right through, and a mall security they grab my brother. Now, there's mall security and these 2 other guys start punching my brother, right?
No, you got to jump in.
I got to jump in.
Yeah.
And my brother goes, stay in line, Jimmy. Stay in line, Jimmy. Stay in line. We're not camping out for nothing. And I'm like, but don't worry about it. They're dragging him out of the mall. Stay in line, Jimmy. Stay in line. I come out of the mall an hour later, and my brother's sitting there on the hood of his car, and I go, we got 3.
Wouldn't you want to save the yelling and the being mean for like when something actually does happen? Because if you're just a loud ass,
because
now
it
you're
was
just a loud
offside.
ass.
You would think. Yeah. I always used to, like, if they yell every time, I go over and I go, do you want me to start yelling change every time I think your guys should get off? And then be like, why would you do that? Exactly. Why are you yelling offside? Like, stop, just stop.
drives
And
me
if you
nuts.
keep doing it, 2 minutes might have to go on the clock.
So another to your point too, right? There was a defenseman, Dean Arsene. He played in Hershey, played all over the place, played in Peoria.
That's a great name.
Great
Dean
name.
Arsene.
Dean Arsene. I've probably been butchering it, but he was lumberjack out front, right? He was a freaking flyer, but he would always just come up to me and go, because I played defense, and I always like the battles out front, go a little bit longer than most probably. But he would always ask me. He would always look at me during the shift and be like, "Hey, am I good here? Am I good?" And he would always have that communication. Hey, is this battle good? Or like, keep the stick low and don't dump them, right? And don't extend. If you extend, that's when I'll probably call a penalty. And Brad May was down playing for Grand Rapids one night, and same thing. I was talking to him out front. I'm like, enough with the cross checks. Enough with the. He looked right at me and did it.
No.
And I was like, "Oh, Mom."
Oh, yeah, definitely shut
And
up.
we're going up. I'm like, dude. What the hell's the matter with you? I just told you not to do that. He goes, I just wanted to see if you had the balls to call it, kid.
I love it. I love it.
Testing you.
He didn't realize you were from
I
Southie.
thought it was a badge of honor. I was like, that's exactly what I said. I go, dude, I'm from Boston. I was like, you want to test me? Go right ahead.
That's
What
awesome.
a veteran move. I just wanted to see if you'd do it.
But
And he actually said, I wanted to see if you had the balls to call it. I was like, this is
Nope.
cool, man.
There you go. So we had some stuff happen this past week in the hockey world, and some controversial stuff with the Massachusetts D1 high school hockey championship.
Yep.
All right, and we'll get into that in a minute. But where a goal is scored and there's no replay, you can't go back, you can't fix it. And what do you do in that situation? So.
You pray to God you were right.
yeah. But when you're not,
Oh, it's the worst.
it's the worst.
Oh, it's the worst.
And so, and we have a video of this where, and you can clearly see, we'll play the video while we're talking. You clearly see the green light come on.
Yep.
All right. And then St. John's puts it in the net. Referee down low points, calls it a goal. Chaos ensues.
Now this is at the Boston Garden.
Boston Garden.
Right. So professional hockey, it's made for replay, right? They're used to it. And unfortunately, they didn't have that working. Now, the Garden, somebody made a good point on one of the Facebook groups saying the horn's different. It's a fade-in. It's not like your typical, at every rink, you hear the buzzer, boom, you wait, you hear it. And it's a fielding, right?
It's a siren.
Yeah.
And it's got to fire up.
Yeah. So it's a little different. It's on a little bit of delay. So that bang, bang initial, like you can even hear the crowd in the video go, oh, hey, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you can the crowd felt it. But when you're in that moment on that goal line, like the referee's just staring at that goal and bang, boom. And he sees it cross, like he never sees it release because he's staring right at that goal line.
Yeah.
And
So the guy down low did nothing wrong. In my opinion, the referee down low did nothing wrong. He's watching the puck, watching the net. He sees the puck go in the net. Boom, he points. Siren goes.
Right.
All right. Now, the other three on the crew, that's where the learning moment comes. And it's a tough time to learn in the championship game of the States. But that's where the other three could have came into play here.
Well, now for the audience, now was that a final call, or can they discuss it and take that call back just for people that don't necessarily know the rule or what have you?
Absolutely, you can discuss it and take it back.
So now you get together as a crew. So the four officials now get together as a crew and they discuss it. All right, because like two of them might have had that horn. Like someone might be looking at the score thing. They might have had it different, right? Because you might have a different sight line, different vantage point. And if you're 110% that's not a goal, you're going to go convince that guy on the goal line that hey, we're taking this one down. So you're allowed to do that just for the audience standpoint, right?
Right, because some people, might not realize that after a call is made, you can get together. A goal call. Certain calls you can't. We're going to get into that later.
Right.
But a goal call, you can get together, talk about it, and then reverse the call or uphold the call, whichever it may be.
Right. Jim Joyce, one of the best umpires, in baseball. He's awesome, phenomenal. I don't know how many World Series, this and that. And it's ninth inning, 2 outs, perfect game on the line. Galarraga. It's a little grounded to the second baseman, or the first baseman gets it. Pitcher goes to cover, and it's bang, bang. And he ready to punch out.
Yeah,
in the last second, he goes, "Hah!" And my father always says, like the big moments. You want to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated for making the right call, not the wrong one.
Right.
Right. So that's mental preparation. That's being in it, not like 60-minute hockey game. Right. You're never letting up. And not saying he did or didn't. This is a very bang, bang play. This is just like that, the goal we showed at the beginning of the podcast, right? It's no different than the goal we just showed. There's no replay. There's no nothing. They didn't have replay then. Right. And you got to live with it. And it's a perfect game. This pitcher probably never even came close to another perfect game.
No,
Yeah,
that's not
that's
something that
definitely a want to get away moment.
Yeah. But if and if you play it, we watch the replay, right? It's clearly like even the runner can't believe it.
Right, yeah, right. Even the runner's like, oh my God.
Fuck? Like, did I just and everyone, they're like, what the fuck? But when you watch the replay, clearly he's out. He beats the runner to the bag. Boom, right there, he's out. Foot of the bag,
he's like a foot
right?
early, yeah.
I mean, it's not even close in the sense that on the replay, it's not even close, right? But here's my point with this. And I always tell young guys this. Go with your gut.
Yeah.
His gut was out.
Yeah.
Because he started. And then he thought about it and he called him safe.
Right.
Go with your gut. I even tell my students this on a test, right? If the right answer is going to come to you and your gut's going to tell you it's right, but then you think about it and you talk yourself out of it. Go with your gut. Linesman, same thing. If your gut tells you that's onside, you wave it. Now, is your gut right all the time? No, but I'm guessing it's up in the high 90s.
Yep.
Because, physiologically, the way we evolved with that for a reason, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I always tell people is go with your gut. If you think your arm should go up, put your arm up.
And you'll probably defend yourself better too if you go with your gut.
Well, you know what? And here's the thing with major violent penalties. I always say when you see a major penalty, when you're tuned in, when you are, and it comes with experience, but when you're locked into the game, when you're in sync with the game, when that happens, your arm just goes up. You don't even think about it. With a hook, a hold, you're going to pause a second to see what happens to let the play develop and breathe. But with, a violent cross check, your arm should go up and not even think twice about it. And that's your gut telling you you're not even thinking, right? It's like that the book your dad recommended, Blink, I think it's called. Yeah. Fantastic. And it all has to do with the fact that your brain works so freaking fast, it makes a decision quicker than we can even imagine.
That's why you got to play chess out there too. You 2 steps ahead sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's one of those things that, and I think too often refs get themselves in trouble when they don't allow their gut to take over and they think too much. And I think it happens in playoffs. We can talk about this more in another episode, but I think in playoffs, refs get in their own head and think, I don't want to be a part of this game, or I don't want to. And when they see the cross-check into the boards from behind and they don't put their arm up, even though their gut's telling them to, that's when they get themselves in trouble. So now, because obviously we're chirping zebras, your thoughts on refs, and feel free, but and I guess I it's kind of a too general question, right? Your interaction. Like, what kind of ref do you like? What kind of ref can't you stand? And you don't have to use names. We will, but you don't have to.
For me, a ref that communicates. If something happens on the ice, if he comes over to the bench and I ask him, what'd you see there? And he responds with what he saw, I can't argue to that, but at least he came over and had the conversation with me.
Right.
It's the guys that when something happens on the ice, that won't come over, they won't look at you, they just ignore you. Those are the guys that drive me nuts.
Yeah.
Now, my first year, I understood. I was not calm on the bench. I had no relax at all when anything would happen. I'd lose my mind. I wouldn't come over and talk to me either.
Right.
What kills me is this year I have been very fucking calm in all situations.
He says that like he's about to say.
because this is the one thing that I wish that they, and we get them all the time. I gotta be careful what I say. Obviously, I get fined by the league now if I'm not careful. And I do think
take it easy on some Joe. Come on, take it easy on him.
As far as the ECHL standard goes, this is one of the best years I've seen. We have had a really good year this year. Guys have done a really good job. There are a few outliers here or there where guys, have had off nights. But when I lose my shit on the bench, it's with reason now.
Yeah, legitimate.
And I would like them to recognize that and at least come over. If I'm losing, it's probably because I'm right. I saw it the right way. And I'm also not opposed to, if I didn't, I'll go back and watch it on the video. I'll come out and be like, I'm an idiot. Sorry about that. That's my bad. Yeah.
Pensacola, are they still the ice pilots?
No, they're the Ice Flyers.
Oh crap!
So when they left the coast, the Ice Pilots name went with it, and then when they came back into the SP, they're the Ice Flyers. Their owner's an awesome dude. I love that place.
Al Peterson was the coach of Pensacola Ice Pilot. One of my favorite people to deal with. He was awesome. And now I see him in the alumni games.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the Bruins
That's
alumni
awesome.
games. Now, Orlando, are they still the Solar Bears, or did that fly with
They
them?
are. No, they were the Solar Bears in the IHL, and when they came back in the Coast, they are the Solar Bears.
They weren't there when I was in the Coast League. I was kind of bummed.
Yeah, they were a little hockey trivia for you. They were the last ever Turner Cup champions in the IHL.
Wow. There you go.
With the dumbest name ever. Solar Bears.
Great name.
Terrible. Right? They're going to start naming teams after body parts they shouldn't.
I mean, you wonder why the teams from Florida are really good, because you got those old vets down there. That's where everybody wants to go. Everybody wants to play down there.
Well, I mean, that's the Everblades to a T, right? They went back. They've gone back to back, and they're ready. They're looking good for another run.
Yeah, they were always on top when I was there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs were supposed to move to Florida.
Yes,
right?
they were. Dickie Dunn. He wrote it in the paper.
It's got to be true.
It's got to be true.
I don't believe a word of that Florida bullshit.
I won't quote Maurice about what's in FLA.
Oh yeah,
it was gorgeous. I just can't stand some of the names of these teams. But
I mean, we had the Solar Bears versus the Swamp Rabbits. So
the Swamp
Rabbits.
Yeah, we had the River Frogs in Louisiana.
Okay,
that was actually a pretty stupid logo. That was dumb. And but the Solar Bears are always killed. Ice Pilots. I mean,
the Salmon Kings.
Yeah,
Victoria.
the Steelheads.
The Steelheads.
Idaho Steelheads. Yep, they're still around.
They're still around, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just stupid. We're gonna find. You've heard me.
I like the Grizzlies, Utah. Yeah, you got a bit about all these. Yeah.
With the Vancouver Vagina taking
I
on
mean,
the Pensacola
one of
Peaks.
my favorites right now is the Idaho USPHL team, the Spud Kings.
That's a good one.
That is a good one.
Yeah. Nothing more intimidating than a potato. like, come on.
Do you know how many referees we got out there? Like 5.
Really? Like, how are you going to trash talk that? We're going to bake you. You know what I mean? Like what the?
Well, I mean, you're either getting baked or fried. One of the two.
One of the two. I still like my
barbecued.
I like my names.
My daughter's a goalie, so like I pay attention to goalies now. It's weird. So it's like I'm watching hockey totally different.
Actually, Stoddard's kid's a goalie. Will.
Oh, no kidding.
Jimmy Stoddard. Yeah, he got into it this year, and obviously Jimmy Stoddard played goalie, and the kid was kind of asking him, and he's like, no. And then this year he really got into it, and I think they got the first row seats behind the net BC defended twice in Providence in their regional. So he got to kind of, show his son, and his son's all into it. He loves Vasilevsky. So the goaltending for young kids, it's crazy. I mean, I watch my son. Next year he'll be a mite, first year mite. So it's not intense at all.
No.
But you're still watching them, and you're kind of nervous and rooting for him. And then goaltending, it's like, oh my God, I can't. You're watching your daughter, like, please save it, please save it.
Oh, they played in the playoffs. She had 4 shootouts, and she stopped all 4. Talk about
no way.
Oh, yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah, it was nerve wracking as all hell, but she was solid.
That's great.
Yeah, it was good.
Now your alma mater has arguably the best college player in hockey right now, Celebrini.
Oh, he is a freak.
That kid's unreal.
I hope he goes back. Got the Hobie Baker. 17 years old, the youngest Hobie Baker winner ever. I think he turns 18 like a week before the draft. That's
insane.
But he's a complete player, which nowadays you see. Paul Bissonnette, my partner, he calls it TikTok hockey. And it's the perfect term. Kids like doing the toe drags and the Michigan, and they like seeing a lot of kids don't really
care or learn or have any desire to be involved in the defensive aspect of hockey. And this kid is just like, there's no cheating the game. And then he's got this skill level, this shot, this compete level, and then he's a brick shithouse. I mean, he's built like Crosby. And I'm not saying he's Sidney Crosby by no stretch, but he's like a Jonathan Taves. Like, he's going to be a stud in the NHL.
You go to hit him, it's like hitting a wall. And you're like,
Yeah,
oh,
like,
you
you know,
think
there's
you're gonna light him up? And
24-year-olds.
yeah.
There's older kids in college, and he has his like head down occasionally. Guys are catching him going flying. What sucked was he took that huge hit from the D-man in Denver.
Yeah.
I think it was the second period, and he wasn't really himself after. Who knows if he got a little dinged up.
Well, he got hit right in the head, right coming across right of the blue line.
That should have been a hitting to the head, and I think Pandolfo was like looking at her, trying to get the ref's attention.
Listen, if they challenged that, I guarantee you that would have been a 5 because it was direct principal contact to the head. So no matter what, that's a 5-minute major. So it could have been a 5 and stay.
And the announcer was mentioning it. I think it was Buchagas. He's like, I think Pandolfo's trying to get the ref's attention, and boom, the puck dropped. You're done.
Yep.
That game, and I probably wasn't the best growing up, and as I've gotten older, I definitely appreciate refs more and how hard their job is. But that BU game was a horribly ref game, in my opinion. Like, for them not to get a power play, that's just 4-0 in penalties when they had the complete pace of the game in their favor the first 30-35 minutes. It was like, but what are you gonna do? Can't blame the refs.
You got to let people hold people accountable.
It's too fast and physical of a game for their. You could never take fighting out. You guys you get naturally so angry and so fired up, and that you're just gonna grab someone. But yeah, they do it. They have, it's just so fast. Like, it's such a fast game, and you try to tell people, like, I know nowadays with the prices, it's so hard, but if you can ever sit down low, like, you'll watch the game in a different way. It's like,
I tell people
it's like an awakening, because my father-in-law he wasn't that into hockey. He would watch, and then, we got married, and then, like, he got a little bit more into hockey with me always having it on the TV. Now he's got season tickets or splits them, and he's first row behind where the Bruins shoot twice, and he's just constantly talking about how amazed he is. Guys are so big and so fast, so you appreciate it more. And then when you go back and watch, you kind of get how the refs can miss stuff. It's like, you take your eye off 1 sec, you look at the
sight
puck.
lines.
Yeah, it's the sight lines and the speed, but it's just there's certain calls and there's certain inconsistencies that people get frustrated about. Now, this is in every league. I mean, look at the NFL officials. That is like, I mean, that's a league. What is it? 50 times bigger than the NHL? If not, I don't know the number, but it's in another stratosphere. And that refereeing is way worse.
Well, what's it like to have a vodka named after you? Because that's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just we caught lightning in a bottle like times 10. It was just so lucky, the timing of everything. But it's crazy. It'll be interesting once my kids get older. Like, oh, this is what Pink Whitney is. Like, yeah, I gotta keep it out of the house. But so fortunate with like New Amsterdam hopping on, becoming the sponsor, and then agreeing to make this drink and give it a shot. And yeah, it was one in a million. The fact that it took off without Barstool and their following and all these people who were willing to give it a shot. It never gets off the ground. So it's been a wild run to see where it's come, and it's just we're so fortunate for it. I can't say how lucky I've been in so many aspects, but that thing being big, it's like I remember when the idea. Biz said it first, and then my wife mentioned it because we'd been talking about it. I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. Nobody's buying a bottle of vodka with my name on it. It was like, but then they did a great job with the logo and kind of making the color pop. So
it came out unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a drink for, younger college and out of college. But in the summer, I enjoy it, no doubt. Put it on ice, and that's kind of what I always drank on the golf course, was pink lemonade mixed with vodka. So just a wild story.
If I ever fall off the wagon after 18 years,
hopefully not.
Well, if I do, though, it'll be on Pink Whitney. How's that?
All right, deal. I still don't want that though.
Well, it'll be in Vegas with hookers, strippers, and midgets, but we'll just it'll involve your drink. So
Yeah.
Well, you did the League of Service, Riles, because you actually you followed Ian Walsh and Chris Rooney, and so finally they were like, "Look, we got an American guy who's actually got a lot of skill." I hope Walsh and Rooney are watching this.
yeah, and those two had what 20-something year careers. I had a week. I got a
Dude,
week
well,
in the NHL. And that's
yeah,
all
well,
right.
even a blind squirrel gets in that occasionally. Eh?
Hey, they don't have a podcast.
Yeah, that's
right.
right. Exactly. Well, they're
That's
going to
right.
get this clip. I can tell you that.
I'm better at them in a couple different areas, and one of them's in the weight room. But you mentioned Regina. I got to tell this story because and this will prove that we're not woke. But at the training camp in Calgary, we do one of those team building things, right? And we all get put on teams. Now, I don't know. Scotty Zelkin was there. Kelly Sutherland. You know, there was a bunch of guys. They don't know me from Adam. So they said, one of the questions was, what's the best thing about working the Western Hockey League? My answer was rhymes with Regina.
That's funny.
Dude, when the supervisor read it out loud, he almost didn't finish it. He was horrified. Everyone's trying not to laugh. And it was funny because Rose and Ian, they all knew it was me. They knew it came from me. So good. So every time I hear that city, I think of that.
That's a great story.
But yeah, I'll send you a copy.
Yeah,
I
that'd
gotta
be great.
find, maybe with all your Amazon money, you can fund it. We can make it. What do you think?
Dude, I don't know if I can say this, but I still got to jerk off the dog to feed the cat around my house, dude. Oh, great.
And for those of you who think we're woke, go fuck yourself.
You know,
That's
Ralph, I
struck
got
a
a funny
nerve.
story about you real quick, okay? And it's not
All right.
it's actually not a funny story. It is actually a true story that you told me. And it put my career into perspective, and it's actually carried me for a long time about how fortunate I was to be in this league. I looked at you like a great official, and you were part of the, the trainee program. And I thought for sure that they were going to hire you. I thought for sure Mark Riley's going to get hired by the National Hockey League. And I don't know if you remember this, but I wasn't hired yet. But you phoned me and you told me that they let you go. And you said, Rhodes, I was driving across the bridge in Boston, and it was all I could do not to fucking turn the fucking wheel and drive off. And that stuck with me, dude. It stuck with me to realize how fortunate I was to have the opportunity that was presented to me, and how much I needed to appreciate that. So that, I don't know if you remember telling me that story, brother, but you did. And it stuck with me for a long time.
No, that's really cool. I really
incredible.
appreciate you telling me that, because that's one of those ones. I know I called you for sure, and that was a dark day. Like you go from that, a week before, the Thursday before, you get the call, we're bringing you on, and fuck it, that was all I worked for what, 5 years being on the road.
Yeah,
and
it's all you
and then a week
sacrifice,
later,
all that. Yeah.
you get the call, and you're like, now you got to call all the people. Like my dad was the toughest call.
Right.
I had to call him and be like, yeah, how I, because it was all about impressing him, right? That's what we.
Sure.
That's
what
why
we
I
all
wanted to
did.
play college hockey. And so that's really cool. I appreciate you sharing that, because that's one of those ones. There's a lot of things I've said over the years that I forget,
Right.
and that's a cool story. I appreciate that, man.
And also, we had a big announcement with Atlantic Hockey and College Hockey America. So Atlantic Hockey services the men, and CHA, College Hockey America, services the women's division. There's 6 teams in that. And they merged. So they were all under the Atlantic umbrella. And, they were working off 2 different things. And they combined this year as one. So the new league they formed was Atlantic Hockey America. And I'm rocking a nice
Look at that T-shirt.
So, you got the puck going through, you got the star, we got the service academies. So, they kind of wanted to have that, involved in it. So you got
Yeah,
Army,
Army and
Air Force.
Air
so
Force.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, pretty neat.
I also want to point out I'd rather service women than men. Just my preference. I mean, you touch on not just hockey, but like the character of the hockey player
It's
a lot of
awesome.
is just one I just watched that was awesome was the two cool kids in high school.
Yeah.
I love the fact that one did meth. Like your character went off and worked in a trade, and the other kid's like, he got into meth. And,
You know,
But I mean, that happens. Like there's guys like
Yeah.
they got that kid found drugs, right?
Yeah. Well, but it's funny because everyone knows that kid from
Right.
high school.
Oh, yeah.
Right. That was like the man in high school, and now he's he went off and did his thing and didn't really do much.
Yeah, it's usually I don't want to chirp football players too much, but it's usually the guys on the football team.
Yeah.
I made that joke because of my experience with like football players in high school, and I always found it funny how cool they thought they were, walking around with their fucking Letterman jackets on in school, like whatever, thinking they're the shit. And I'm like, oh, like, what are you guys doing next year? Like, you playing college football? No? Oh. Like, you guys aren't going anywhere, That's their life. And then a couple of years go by and they realize, like, being a average player on the D3 varsity football team in, Massachusetts isn't that cool.
All right, we've answered none of your questions. What's the next one that sucks? Favorite way to waste time?
Yeah. Damn.
There's an obvious answer here. I'm not going to say it.
For real thinking it?
Jesus. Yeah. It ends with hub.
Yeah.
Next question.
Favorite way to waste time?
There you go.
Outside of that, I don't know. I like playing fetch with Frankie Chirps. He loves chasing the ball. That's what I like to do.
Just going on a walk.
Walking's
clear
fun.
the mind. Waste some time.
I like bothering the kids.
Yeah, that's
getting
always
them all
fun.
riled up.
There you go.
Yeah. All right.
Favorite weekend activity? I guess this could go.
Ends with hub. No. Favorite weekend activity.
When we started in the ECAC with video replay, you would have these shots from above, but there's this thing called, and Sissick could tell you, the parallax view.
He got brought up. Yes. Oh my God!
The atom split.
On the ride up,
The atom splitter.
Geno says we got to give Steve
gotta give
Sissick a shout out.
A shout out, the poor bastard.
He broke a couple vertebrae.
Couple of vertebrae.
No
He's
way.
in the hospital. He's got the neck thing going.
Oh my goodness.
In a lacrosse game.
In a
Oh, my
lacrosse
goodness.
game.
Yeah. And
Well,
it's so funny you bring him up because we said you wanted.
I wanted to bring him up.
and
I
we
wanted to
got
give him a
in
shout
there.
out to him.
And,
Look
and
at
we
that.
didn't plan this,
No,
right?
we did not plan this. That's why. That's why. You see my reaction?
Freaking crazy that you brought. That's insane. But you're going to talk about parallax.
The parallax. view, right.
Parallax.
So when you look at the goal line and the crossbar from above, the puck could look like it's over the line.
We
but
will
when you-
show that. I will
when
send
come
you that
back,
video.
it's not.
I will show
Yeah,
you the
we can
parallax
look at that.
angle.
Yeah.
We had a clown referee when I started. That not every game, but he became a professional. Ringling Brothers clown, great athlete, great skater.
Really?
But he had this one routine where he had a mannequin with a referee sweater on. And it would get beat up, and they'd throw him in the bench, and then the guys would throw him back. Like, they'd throw the clown on the bench, and then they'd throw the mannequin out on the ice. And I'm like, we're trying to get respect for referees and stuff. And holy shit, kid, you think you can just take that little piece out and do all the other stuff, with the arrow through your head and the stick through your ear? And
Maybe the bucket
Can
of
you take-
confetti.
all this skating around with a toilet seat on, that's all great. But why don't you get rid of that? Get rid of that part.
That blows my mind because you played at Northeastern for 4 years, and then you played basketball your fifth year. Which,
That's awesome.
that's amazing.
Just be an athlete. right?
Amazing.
Right.
That's what I tell my daughter. Just be an
Yeah.
athlete.
That's right. Yeah.
And
yeah.
and not wanting to get I figured you were hockey since day one.
Yeah, well, it's now I think when you're obviously love hockey, love sports, and there's no question. I think right now I'm doing absolutely what I was meant to do, no question. But I think at the time, finishing at Northeastern, and by the way, the basketball thing. I mean, it's a 5-year school. Like, that is a pretty unique thing there.
Yeah.
And you know, talking about the whole multi-sport athlete thing.
Right.
You know, I mean, that was the norm back then, you know, playing 5 or 6 different sports a year. And in Canada, I actually played hockey and basketball at the same time growing up.
That's insane.
That's incredible.
People are like, you should tell my parents, like, you should make her choose a sport. And I'm like, nah. It's,
You played both in high school too, right?
oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that just doesn't happen.
I played boys hockey. Like I wasn't the norm. Like people wanted me to go to boarding school and were after my parents to, you know, send me to wherever. And I was just like, no, like I didn't want to move. And so I actually played boys hockey right through high school. So like checking.
Yeah.
Because I had to, right, at the time to kind of keep progressing and stuff. And then I did a post-grad year after high school, 1 year at the North American Hockey Academy.
Okay.
So that was a real, like, I think a game changer for me and just helped me get seen. And it kind of gave me the level I needed for that 1 year to make that leap to a place like Northeastern. Well, things are overwhelming now for parents, and what do they do? How much do they do? But like, put things into perspective. I think if you look at your athletic pyramid, where like the base, which is the larger, that's like the younger levels, where I think this is always just good to put it in perspective. Like that base or your foundation, you know, you're building a home or whatever, like there can't be, for you to keep progressing up and keep adding layers, there can't be any cracks or holes in that foundation, right? So like, for example, like if your skating isn't where it should be, like if your stride isn't great, you know, as an 8 or 9, like that's where you want to hammer in those like fundamentals, and you don't stop that stuff. Like you got to get better every year. And I think like, don't get away from laying the bricks or the foundation properly, because I will say like it gets harder to go back and revisit some of those cracks once they're older. So if that base isn't really formed extremely well at the younger levels, it's just harder to progress with the game. You know, so like if the skating isn't really hammered in at like a 8 or 9 or 10-year-old, it's really hard to keep going up with the game because it gets so much faster, you know, at a high school level or whatever. So. And skating, I mean,
That's really good advice.
No matter if you're a player or an official, it all comes down to skating.
Right.
Skating is, you know, you can be you can have the best judgment, you can have the best communication as a ref. If you can't get there and be in position, well, that's the number one thing. It's fast. And that's what holds guys back in officiating.
Yeah. So there was one story I brought up. Didn't tell the full story, but it's one of those we kind of did it on Donnie's story about my old man that you're like, oh, that's gonna be made up.
Oh yeah, with the helicopter.
With the helicopter.
Yeah, yeah.
So my father landed on Loudon in a helicopter with Don Garcia, but I was like, I don't believe you. So it's kind of like that Lake Placid story you guys had in the pizzeria. I love hearing that story from your perspective, because it's like, oh, my father tells this story. Oh, yeah. And then it's like, and then you hear him tell it. You're like, oh, that's
you need help? No, I'm good.
Yeah,
I was a young person. That was a great story. So it had to be the Harbor Wolves team.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't have been the Wolves at Lake Placid. So it had to be the Harbor Wolves team. They were staying in my room because they always got rooms.
My father and Doyle, right?
Yep. Your father and Doyle. And it was his birthday.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
And it was a blizzard. We're in Lake Placid. And, of course, there's only the pizza joint. So we go down to the pizza joint, and there's teams in there, and there's tons of people. And so we're waiting for the pizza. We're standing over here, me and Doyle. Dad's kind of with us, but he's kind of milling around, whatever. And then they say some name. So Gene thought it was his pizza. So he slides up to the pizza place there, the little counter, and, asks, and then this big, huge, tall dude says something, Guinea.
You can't get nothing right.
So I'm standing there with Jimmy. We're just... Like there's a tall round table. We each have a beverage. And I do remember Jimmy goes, watch this. That's all he says. But he didn't move. He didn't do anything. And Gene does this thing. It was like right out of TV. Like, not like he's going to hit anybody or anything like that. He's just... And then he gives the guy
What'd you say? He gave him the stupid test.
Yeah.
And the guy totally failed.
Said it again.
And whatever he was holding, he put down. Now, the guy was like 6'4". You know, Gene is Gene. He came swinging around. He knocked the guy down. One punch, knocked him out. And then they just beat him out the door. They, meaning Gene's 2 hands and his 2 feet, and that was it. So I'm watching. I was a young kid. I'm like early 20s. I'm watching. I'm like, Jimmy, don't we do something? He goes, no, he's fine. He's got it covered. He's got it covered. And so the guy ends up in the snowbank. Gene comes back in, walking back in, gets the pizzas, says, come on, just walk. So we walk out the door. Cops are coming. Sirens, everything's coming.
And it's Lake Placid. It's not like it's a big
Lake
city.
Placid.
Yeah.
Cops are coming. We just get in the car and drive away. And that was it. And then the next morning, they're on the ice, and the team that was in the bar was Philly. And they got like a standing ovation. That was the team that they had first the next morning. So they got a standing ovation from the team.
Oh, that's excellent.
It was the coolest thing ever. I never see anything like that. Nah, he's got it covered.
He's got it covered.
Not even a twitch by Doyle. Not even a twitch. I love that story.
Seen that movie before.
Oh, yeah.
I never saw it before, but that was the first time. But it was very quick. Very
Go up and
painless.
salty, yeah, he just
Yeah.
yes, he
You don't
hits,
see that in Dover.
He hits first,
Nah.
asks questions later.
Yeah.
No, you don't see that in Dover.
Nope.
I remember when he took me to the Star Wars bar.
Oh, Kelly's, yeah.
Kelly's.
Yeah, Kelly's
Oh, yeah.
goes
The first
first.
time Gene took me to Kelly's.
Beer and a beat.
Beer
Sometimes
and a
you don't
beat?
get the beer.
The beer's not guaranteed.
First time Gene took me to Kelly's, I remember we left at like 1:50 a.m. And I picked up the Globe the next day, and a guy walked out the front door at 2:10, took a bullet in the head. I called Gene. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing there? He's like, no, you were fine because that guy, he messed up, drug deal, whatever. He owed a guy money. You're fine. You were safe.
You were safe.
Yeah. Yeah, Dover kid. I didn't totally get that.
Yeah, you had your back up against the wall and you looked at the door. You didn't. Yeah.
I remember walking in that place. Everybody knew I wasn't from Southie.
Oh yeah.
The record skipped.
And Gene said, "Nope, he's good. He's with me." And then everybody went back to normal.
I used to go in there.
It was crazy.
So my father would bring me in there when I was like 19, 20, right? So like I got a little cocky when I was 20, and the guy Tommy knew I wasn't 21 yet. So like I walked in there one night with a couple of friends, and I wasn't with my old man. See ya.
Right out the door.
He wasn't having that.
No, it's really crazy. I mean,
Yeah, good times.
it's just, Dennis Scholes, you mentioned him before. Like, so many people. I was thinking when you guys started doing this, like, I know I sent you like a list of, there's 1,000 people you could have on here that, the stories are great, but I tried to mention a lot of them as we went through because
Yeah, I saw Marty a couple weeks ago.
So
Marty Demers.
impactful.
He wants to get on here. He has a ton of. What a career he's had.
best of his generation,
Yep.
as far as I'm concerned. I keep writing the American League to get him in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, that would be awesome.
He should be in.
He should be.
deserves
Frank
it.
Murphy should be in. Best
Yep.
of his generation. The guy did, I think Frank did maybe 4 finals. When
That's impressive. He
that's
was
not
hungry.
the way it was. Frank
No.
was really
Like,
good
they traveled him too to a couple, didn't they? They wasn't
Yep.
just like a local guy. Like,
Yep.
they traveled him
because
Yeah.
he was that good.
that good. Yeah.
So
He was awesome to work with because like if you had a scrum, like those scrums got a little fucking hairy sometimes, and he would always come up to you with 1 or 2. He'd be like, "Hey, you're taking 12." Like no, it didn't matter. Whatever he said, fucking went. Like
Spanish sent me a hat that I still have. It's a white golf hat. It says TFG on it, which stands for Too Far Gone, which came from a game I did with Frank at it was a Wolfpack game.
okay.
Kevin Collins was there, and there was a play, and we didn't agree. I forget what we didn't agree on. It might have been face-off placement or something. But I'll never forget because that's where the hat came from. And the story, still, those guys know it even better. But I just remember the punch I got from Kevin because Kevin came in and he actually started yelling at Frank for listening to me. Because I was wrong. And Kevin was so mad, he wouldn't even look at me. All he said was, forget this fucking guy. He's too far gone.
Too far gone.
Yeah, that was it. Never forget it. That hurt so badly.
Too
far gone. Too far gone. And that was the same season.
He is not. He doesn't hold back.
Oh no, he didn't hold back.
Holy
No,
shit.
that was the same season at the very last game. I don't know who it was. This guy walked up to me, last whistle, and he gave me like the doughboy in my stomach. The player
stick.
Yeah, and he just whispered at me. He goes, "You're just a fat fuck," and he gave me and I was like, all in the same moment. I'm like, oh my God, he's right. And
he thought you were gonna fight him. You were like,
no, he just kept moving.
Dude.
No, it was a total drive-by. Game was
Yeah.
over, season's over, and he just gave me the "you're a fat fuck," and he was gone. And I'm like, oh, that hurt too, because he was right. And then that summer, I lost like shitload, 30 pounds. Came back and had another great 6 years. It was good, but
that's awesome.
I don't know what made me listen to that guy, but he was right. That was a rough season. Yeah, too far gone.
Too far gone.
Frank got yelled at for listening to me. Ask him. He'll tell you the
That's
story.
great. We
He's got a whole
freaking
different
outstanding.
perspective. Yeah.
That is outstanding.
Yeah.
Well, we've. I think we're too far gone.
Yeah, I said 2 hours. I'd be shocked.
This might be a two-parter.
Yeah. Well,
we might have to be a to be
It
continued.
was. I mean, it's really fun, actually, and so
we'll definitely have you back on.
there's, you could do a whole different kind of thing talking about whatever, but I appreciate you guys having me on.
Oh,
It's
thank
a lot of fun, and I hope you keep doing this because I think it's gonna. The conversations you're gonna get out of it, I don't even think you know yet, but it's so good.
Nice.
There's so many people you can get and perspectives.
There's
and-
coaches, administrators, referees, also I saw you like this. I saw Coach Schaefer down in Florida at the coaches meeting by the pool. I had my hat on, and he's looking at it, and he's like, "What the hell's Chirping Zebras?" I go, "Coach, my podcast." I go, "You got to come on." He goes, "Oh, I'm coming on that thing."
I know he's retired now, but you should have Coach Colgate on.
Oh, Donnie Vaughn. Yeah,
call him on the
yeah.
carpet for his wretched, awful behavior in 2006 and 7.
You know what? Donnie Vaughn.
Wretched, awful behavior.
He was one of the only coaches that
No
season.
respect for that guy.
Well, hang on. I'll give you a little bit.
And yes, I did tell him anybody can win 250 if you hang around long enough. Anyone.
He was
No
one of the
respect.
only coaches that year that I had a call and we had it back and forth, blah, 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 blah. We go in between periods. And I come walking off the next period. It's at Colgate. And he's standing in front of the door waiting for me. I'm like, what the fuck? And he goes, "Hey, I just want to let you know I just watched that. You were right." I go, "Whoa, I was right? Come on." I shook his hand.
I don't ever remember dealing with him. I'm
I
sure
do.
he had dealings.
I do. And
I had dealings with everyone in
He
that
had
league.
just come back from not being the coach, sabbatical or whatever. His team was not constructed for the rules as
they
they
did
were
get a
being
lot of
applied.
penalties, yeah.
His team was big and slow, and his demeanor towards the officials in general was very poor. There was a couple games where he was totally outside himself. And I mean, we've all been there. I don't know him as a person. I just know him as a coaching person. And as a coaching person, nah, not cool.
Fair enough.
But yeah, keep doing this because have all those guys on. And there's so many perspectives to be delivered and received
Yes.
that could have a lot of impact,
That's what we're trying to do. I mean,
But we have a really good one coming up. It'll either be the next one or the one after. Frank Simonetti from the Bruins, who's leads
yeah, I
up the
remember
Bruins
him.
alumni.
Yep.
He's coming on with Captain Ryan Crowley, a former Navy SEAL who's the founder and president of the Warrior for Life Fund. And they just signed on with the NHL. So an agreement, NHL and the Warrior for Life Fund. So they're coming on in the next episode or two. Really excited about that one because that's going to be good. And just how hockey is just, I mean, it
He's
can be
not a hockey
therapeutic.
person. He's a BC High person. But if you want to talk to somebody about all the things we were trying to figure out, Nick Lavery.
Oh, Nick, I graduated with him. He was in my grade, yeah.
He talked to my team a couple years ago.
Yeah, you told
we
me
did
about
a
him.
Zoom.
Yeah, I gotta get him. I gotta reach out to him. Yeah,
He's one of the most impressive people
It's incredible, his story. Like,
Yeah.
he was just recognized at the Celtics game. I
Yeah.
think, yeah. Yeah, I went to BC High with him. Yeah.
The conversation and everything that he espouses from his experience totally applies to everything that has to occur.
Interesting.
It's all personal because it's all mental. He would be a great person to have.
Yeah.
Totally outside the box, but
We've had a few, yeah.
We have every intention of keeping this going. You
Well,
know,
thanks for having me.
episode
Really
18.
Well, let's get some sponsors. We'll keep it going.
Sorry.
We could use a sponsor or 6. But that we do have one great sponsor, the Referees Crease.
Yep.
And we also have a wonderful place that we do this at, which is AOA Studios. And they're awesome here. So we're very fortunate in that regard. Very fortunate to know people like you, Luke. And have, you know, over the years, you're someone that we both have, you know, not only a massive amount of respect, but also a massive amount of just, you know, love and happiness when you're around.
We've had a lot of fun.
Oh, we
can
have.
say.
I mean, I
We
can't
have.
thank you enough for everything you've done for me through my career, on and off the ice. I mean, you've been a mentor to me since I was probably like 15 years old, just watching you when you were a trainee and then just growing and then working for you, working with you. You know, those nights and those games we used to work, you know, in the American League, and then afterwards,
I love
going out to dinner or even just sitting down. I remember there was nights where we would sit in the Hartford garage, and we would be at your car or my car, and we'd put our bags down and we'd just have a conversation for an hour. And then you go, why the fuck are we standing here? Let's go across the street.
Yeah.
And then we go across the street for an hour. And, you know, and it was just, you know, it was all just talking shop, talking hockey. And all those times and all those moments I've always cherished. And I thank you for those.
Tell you did one of the best things you could have done for his career. His first game in college hockey D1, you put me on the lines.
It was
I
the
did. You
RPI
remember that.
scrimmage.
The RPI
I
scrimmage.
went up and did the blue and white game. You go up and
Is that
Riley.
when your father was in the rafters?
No, that was the BU game. That was
Oh.
the first. That was the first game.
I have a great picture from
That was a great hockey game. I've told that story on here with
Yeah.
I decided
But
to
you
use
put-
you that year because of 2 games I did with you in Hockey Night in Boston. When you were, I don't even know how old you were.
That was probably like
But
18,
you were just,
19, yeah.
You were so everything that you would have learned being a Southie kid from your old man.
Never took shit from anybody.
No, but you just had a different way. I thought then, not that I knew I was getting that gig, but
Right.
because I'd never really seen you work. It was kind of Kevin Curtis-ish, but
Well, you put me in the
You were really
lines,
good.
and that completely changed
I
the
don't remember that.
trajectory of his career.
Yeah.
Most fun you had in a car ride ever.
I laughed for 6 hours in a car.
Yeah, RPI. So
Now I laugh on an hour ride up here.
that's cool. Well, thanks again. Still a cross check too, by the way.
still a cross check.
Still a
We'll
cross
get
check.
that video. It's still a cross check.
Coming.
I love it. I love it.
So far gone.
So make sure you check out our website, chirpingzebras.com, where you can get cool merch like this. You might have saw our promo video for it. We have trucker hats, hoodies, quarter zips. We got it all.
Polo's coming soon.
Check that out. And also like and subscribe, as always, on YouTube. We really appreciate that. We're up over 400 now.
Yep.
So we're up and climbing. And also find us on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, the TikTok. We're on the TikTok. Check us out there. And also give Frankie Chirps a follow. He's on Instagram himself.
Give AOA Studios a follow, too.
AOA Studios a follow. Absolutely. And me, Mark Riley Comedy. Always want to get a follow there. So
Ref's Crease, why the fuck not?
why not? I tag you.
That's not the situation to have chosen,
Right.
Because the message was so correct.
It was,
you know, if there's some other occasion where it's not a good use of it, then maybe you can have a conversation.
Right.
But we're talking about coaches' comments. I remember Bruce Cassidy, who I always liked.
Awesome, awesome coach,
He
awesome
had a great
guy.
line. Somebody said he had a player injured. He said, "Is it upper body injury or a lower body injury?" And he stopped for a second. He said, "Well, it's his hand. So if he's tying his skates, it's lower body, and if he's waving to you, it's upper body." One of my favorite stories from the convention is we had Barry Smith down there, who'd been Scotty Bowman's assistant coach and coached Elmira at one time. And he gave a talk on locker room dynamics,
which basically was a 40-minute talk, but you could have whittled it down to, don't let the guys who hate you sit next to the guys who haven't made up their mind. Move them around. And so he had charts and he had his stories. And so are there any questions? In the back of the room, Billy Riley, and he looked like a pirate. He had a straw hat, one eye was closed and shaved. He should have had a parrot in his shoulder. He says, what do you think of the Morso theory? And all the guys from out west turn around like, oh, Morso theory. And all the guys from the east put their head in their hands because they know something's coming.
Yeah.
And he reeled Barry in. And he goes, I don't know the Morso theory. What's that? He says, that's if you recruit a kid who's an asshole in high school, he'll only be more so by the time he gets to college. So the talk was over, and all the guys were talking about when they left the room was the Morso theory. They didn't remember anything, nothing from the talk itself. So the story went well until Berkey got up. Ryan Burke gets up and
That's
says,
right.
Joe Britannia, what a sick individual. You're asked to tell one story, and the only thing you can come up with is killing a bird with a puck machine? You're twisted. But the other thing about that is when you walked into the lobby of the hotel, they had these 6 feet long things with your image on it.
Oh, yeah, pictures, yeah.
So USA Hockey guy says, hey, do you want your banners? There's 3 of them. I said, well, what are you going to do with them? He said, we're going to throw them out. I said, I'll take them. Oh. They're in these nice canvas containers, and I'm checking out of the hotel. My wife goes, what are those? Oh, those things with me on it. What are we going to do with those? I said, I don't know. They're going to throw them out. She goes, they'd look good at your wake. And she said it in a way that implied that she had put some thought into this. Yeah. So they haven't left the storage shed that they were brought home on.
Now, I'll be honest with you, Joe. At your wake, when we show up and see those things, we're going to piss our pants laughing. I'm just telling you now.
Oh, my gosh, you were serious.
We'll get...
She also was in. If you watch the video of that night, Steve Levy says, where are you going to put your Lester Patrick trophy? And from the crowd, you hear my wife going, not in the living room.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yes, I remember that.
And I get home, I played the video, and you can hear... there she is.
That was a great night.
That was a good night.
They know how to throw a party. That was
USA Hockey.
Steve Levy does a nice job emceeing those.
He's really good.
Yeah.
I would go and referee because I could. I could pick my own games, but I'd go referee a game in December and see somebody playing. And say,
Yeah.
Gee, he's a pretty good player. And then I'd go back in February, and he was still playing. I said, that's the kid I want. That's the kid I want. He played as hard in December as he did in February as he did in December. I said, I want that kid to come and play. And as I said, who do you look for? I said, I said, to explain it to people, I said, it's like, I'm not going to get everybody. I'm not going to get the best players. They're going to go to Salem. Plus, Curry was expensive, et cetera. I said, I understand that. I'm going to get the aberrational kid like Freddie Hooley, who had a learning disability. And as I said, I said, I want a team. If you're familiar with that picture of George Washington being rowed across the Delaware, I said, everybody looks at George Washington, right?
Right.
You look at the guys rowing the boat? No. If they don't row his ass across the river, you have a tea at 5 o'clock and singing Hail to the Queen. Okay. Okay. I said, I want kids that love to play. Anyway,
great.
That's it, boys.
It's great stuff.
Wow, this was great.
Yeah, great stuff.
Thank you very much.
Do this.
Thanks for having me.
Could do this all night.
Rouse, thanks for having me.
Stu, you're the best.
Yep.
That's Josh Dolan, our producer over here.
Josh, how'd we do? All right? Excellent.
Awesome.
Well,
Well,
enough anyway.
This might be a record for the longest.
This might be
the ending.
Yeah, this is
we try to kick it,
the endings always go a little long.
Because we always try to stop it, and then like this happens
going.
and keeps going. So yeah,
we might have
this might be the record.
double episode. And I'll tell you what.
If my brother would say, I was better.
I was just gonna say. I think this one went better.
I definitely said a lot more words.
Yeah, you got more in this time. Absolutely.
See the difference. This has been just a great experience from when I was 7 or 8. You know.
Yep.
Whatever.
Yep.
Through all the years that I did it, travel with him, the people I met, and the coach, and hey.
Great stuff.
Great shift.
Yeah.
It is a great shift.
Small world. The oncologist. Who's,
Yeah.
Connect those dots, will you?
And you're our first guest that's doing a mic drop and walking off. You're the first guest to do a mic drop and just walk off. I love it. Usually they stay till we shut it down. No,
you're good.
No, you're good.
Bye.
You're good.
Aloha.
As you would,
I'll be on Route 1.
as you would say to a player or coach, you're dismissed. Right? I think you just gave us a blessing. Some other language. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for episode 20 of Chirping Zebras.
I think, a lot of the active component that, kind of served, during the war on terror, or, I think they've compartmentalized so many things and so many stories. So, for me, it's kind of revealed in the way that I see the room or the way that I sit down. I view everything as a threat, and, drives my wife crazy, but, we have to pack the car a certain way, because if something happens, I have to be able to grab something very specifically. So those are the things that kind of bounce around in my head that, I would say aren't really normal kind of ways to view the world. As far as, one operation, when you were firing up this podcast and everyone's going around and trying to make things happen, and it just seems a little bit like a shit show.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how
Well,
what it's like.
right?
Yeah, that's kind of what it's like when a lot of times it's just a mess, and then you just have to figure it out. I've been, expected to be, the third or fourth helicopter landing on an operation, crash the first one, second one waves off, third one waves off, and next thing you know, you got all the officers and team leaders doing the primary assault on a building. And, all your real operators, the guys that probably know this a little better and are a little bit more current, they all had to wave off. So it's like you just put your triple B team in. It had to, assault a target on it. But, guys just pick it up and move. Again, it's just like being a shit show, all the way to, I've held a subcritical ball plutonium in my hands, hot to the touch. And, so it's just like this. It could be anything that happens. And, the maritime aspect of what we do is significant too. So if you haven't been out in the water, when the seas get big and things happen out there, it can get a little crazy when a 12-foot wave, comes up against a container ship, and that 12-foot wave turns into a 24-foot wave because it doesn't have anywhere to go. So all those things happen out there. So you just never know what's going to happen next. Hopefully that kind of answers your question.
Oh no, that was awesome.
He was angry.
It's funny
that day, my
because
friends.
yeah, like Joe Britannia, who was just on, told a story about sitting on the couch with Ken Dryden and talking about his book. And you just mentioned holding plutonium. Like I swear to God, every time on this podcast, someone tells a story that makes me go, "What the fuck?" Like that's amazing.
You mentioned meeting alumni at alumni games, and maybe it was 15, 18 years ago, you refereed one of our games in Stoneham. Okay. And I introduced myself, and you told me you were a comedian and you were a referee and a school teacher and this and that and the other thing. And okay. And blah, 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 blah. And okay. Nice to meet you. It was a fun game. We had a nice talk. And over the couple of years, I'd gone to comedy shows and seen you, perform, and some of your material was hockey based, right? I said, "Oh, by this guy's funny. He knows us. He knows what's funny." So, fast forward several years, I'm at the Luna Rosa in Tewksbury, right? I'm with Joe Valenti and Kenny Highslip. These are all big Warrior for Life Fund supporters. Their family are going, "Oh, Mark Riley's here. This guy is so funny. He has such great hockey material. I can't wait. Wait, everybody, when he comes up, you guys got to listen." And did he tell one freaking hockey joke? No, right? I'm going, and you look at me going, "He's funny," right? So I go up after the show and introduce myself, and he remembered talking. And I said, "Oh, by the way, I just told everybody you're going to tell hockey jokes, and you didn't. So next time you're in, please tell some hockey jokes." Anyway, but I invited you to the bowling event, and you were happy to participate. You've been there pretty much ever since. And
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that, because we did. I mean, what a run. Like, that was awesome. And you know, those were some of our favorite moments. You know, there's plenty more of them, but you know, hope you guys enjoyed that episode because we did. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that
And-
was amazing.
Yeah.
And like Riley was saying, we got a bunch more guests coming up this year. I mean, that's what we did, like starting from nothing. Like now that we have like a foundation and we have something to go off of, and that we're kind of in a groove now, and you know, people know that we're not just other, like, I mean, everybody and their mom has a podcast. So I mean, it's kind of like when you're first starting out, even if you do have some credibility, people are still like, oh, you're starting a podcast. But you know, once you know, you guys have been so supportive of us, and as long as you guys give us energy and we give you energy back, like we're gonna bring it to the moon. So, I wanted to see, and maybe people in the comments can write as well. I was thinking, like, all the guests that we've had, who's somebody that, like, who's your white whale that you want to get for next year?
I like
I mean, for us, like we've already got a couple of guys lined up. Like we got some NHL guys lined up that are going to be coming on, some big names. You know, so I'm looking forward to those. And you know, some friends are coming on, and we got some, you know, some really cool NHL guys that you know, you guys made the connections for that NHL series you guys did with the alumni there. So that was awesome. You know, so looking forward to that.
Yeah, 2025 going to be a big year. It's the year of the zebra in the Chinese calendar.
Is it really?
I don't know that. I have no idea. But it's the year of the zebra for us. That's all I know.
I believed you.
I know, of course you did. Why wouldn't you?
On the internet, it's got to be true.
That's right. Absolutely. So that's going to do it for part 1. Definitely check out part 2 and check out all the great moments from the second 21. That was the first 21. Again, thank our sponsor, the Referees Crease. Cam, Mike, Zafir at AOA Studios, want to thank them too for all the great work they do. And we'll see you in part 2. And check us out, chirpingzebras.com. Like and subscribe. Find us on the socials. And that'll do it.